and those pieces would come here and form a coherent form and fully enclose the stadium.
Your verbal explanation is useless at this point.
Did they move away both to dissolve the stadium?
Rotate and open so that the wind can go under the big transforming pieces.
Like the Transformer movie, where before something unfolds, everything goes and then it unfolds. Two chunks drive away, and if they need to drop, they could drive away and drop. I mean, why does it need to be the other way?
If the wind comes from the other direction.
So when you drive this away, it leaves what you need here and it takes what you need here. Right now you're in filmmaker mode, like you're in cartoon mode, but I want you to get in architect mode. Everybody here is looking at the back of this person's head. In the Angewandte, we have a diversity of disciplines. So we really like to look at the city, we like to look at fashion, we like to look at design, and figure out how architecture can talk to all these other fields. But one thing is that we all agree that architecture is more than just building. It's important that you have architects that are trained to reflect society that way. It's really not just me, it's a whole group of very good assistants that have been coming through the studio in the last 10 years. Zaha, Hani, Wolf, Hans, we all agree that architecture has to step above just the art of building. And really we try to train architects to be cultural leaders and be able to speak to more abstract issues or more general issues than just how to design a building. Architects that are really innovating and looking to culture as a way of responding with their design work. It's really a unique city. It's one of the only cities in the world where there's such a great tradition of that. Well, Vienna has a special place for me in my heart because I first came here when I was 17 years old, and I actually came to see the Secession Building and Wagner, and I was a kid and I was very interested in what was happening at the turn of modern architecture. Later I was invited to do an installation on the roof and the facade of the Secession Building. I've always had a long-standing relationship with the city and with its architects, and it's been one of my favorite cities and a university I've known about ever since I was 17.
We're dealing with students here who are not necessarily interested in just becoming conventional architects, but rather having a sort of polemic and a story to tell and a kind of a concept to think about, and how we practice, how we make form, how we think of space, and how that forms the spaces that we are beginning to think about building, both at the scale of our cities and the scale of our actual architectural interventions. So the program that I'm running is entitled Deep Futures. For me, architecture is really the fusion of those two things. I really think we work and oscillate between emotional and artistic tendencies and desires, certainty with desire, structure with dream. You know, I like this place very much. It's by the architect Jean Nouvel, and the work above me is by an artist named Pepe Laterist. Both of these aspects negate each other in a way. They kind of make the other one sort of invisible. You know, this kind of looking glass space about the city. You know, the view of Vienna is so remarkable. You can sort of see almost in a kind of map view the remarkable fabric, texture, and history of the city, the cathedrals, the spires, the landscape of the mountains in the distance, the pristineness of a kind of modern piece of architecture set into a powerful historic context where really modernism was kind of born, you could say, in terms of modern architecture. And then above you, this kind of artificial sky done by Pepe Laterist of delirium and desire. Combination of history, urbanism, the city, architecture, the object, and art. This post office in particular tells a story about information and producing form and space around the human condition. Has this kind of forebearers, this kind of prophetic beginnings here in Vienna. So to be surrounded by a kind of deep history, but also kind of deep present, and now looking at the deep future, Vienna is architecture, and architecture is found really at its kind of core here in Vienna.